Yo! Welcome! Make sure to click that button. And you know what I mean when I say click that button. I guess I should warn you that when you go on through this path, the path that the sage gets you to do, there's a lot of strange, mysterious things that will happen, and that once you get enlightened and once you have that crown, once you have that halo, it's not going away. And that anything can happen to you. You could even die. You could go into your nirvana and you can die. If it's within God's own wisdom and Allah's most highest wisdom for you as a person to die, I'm telling you, anything can happen. Your whole facial structure can change. Your bones can change. You can shift. You could teleport to another country. Anything could happen. Really, anything can happen. Because then you've tapped into your human potential, the highest human potential for a few moments in that nirvana. Now, don't confuse the state of no mind with the state of samadhi and the state of nirvana or astral projection. It's not the same. Astral projection you get in your dreams. Actually, for me personally, for most times that I astral project, I just astral project in the same room. Because what's the use? What's the use? In the highest wisdom, what's the use of it? The same way, if you tell a female, let's go to the moon, what's the use of it? What's the use of it? Do you understand what I'm saying? What's the use? I'm fine right here. What's the use? But that's a lot of the ways that people look at this meditation type of stuff. Unless the entire psyche around you is supporting it, then they're not going to really support it. So, for instance, in Buddhist countries, unconsciously the people misconstrued the true traditions and ideas of what Buddhism was all around them, and they call themselves a Buddhist, so that they can just get away with their saying, what's the use? Yeah, I could become enlightened, but what's the use? So all the people around them control the general population psyche, 99% of people. Out of 8 billion people in the world right now, there's probably less than 2,000 enlightened people. That's nothing. That's really nothing. For every I don't know, 5,000 people, there should be one enlightened person to balance all the energies out in their area. Wise women and witches, that's what they used to do. They balanced out all the energies in the area. And then the popes, all these so-called holy people, decided we're going to kill all of those wise women. And the word witch means wise woman. All these so-called holy people are the people who did all these wars, the people who killed all these animals, people who killed all these innocent wise women who are doing justice to the world and helping balance out the certain energies of certain areas of the lands. And it was out of ignorance too that it happened. Ignorance, that means you ignore. And the one thing that you can always remain ignorant to is the realized human. Of course, the realized human is what you're always going to remain ignorant to, unless you experience it. Every realized being tells you you have to experience it for yourself. Like, they're trying to give you this to experience for yourself. As like a best friend experiences something, like, yo, you gotta try this, you gotta try this, you gotta try this, man. And that's why I'm telling to him, is like, you gotta try this, you gotta try this. That's what's prevalent that I can see. That we ignore. We ignore all the past and we're ignorant to it because we ignore it. We ignore what we don't want to dive into, what we're afraid of. When you're afraid of something, you try to ignore it initially. That's how for most people, that's how it happens. That's what most people do. The scariest thing is death. So you ignore death. The very moment that you don't ignore death is the moment that you're going to go into nirvana. That's the ironic way life presents itself. The real anomaly of a paradigm, the real anomaly of the paradox is a human's potential. That's why we are the most intelligent beings on this earth, because we are walking, moving potentials of a paradox. An animal has no potential of becoming a paradox. And everything that you see around you is a play. Your mind is a play of the paradox, trying to act and seem as the paradox. Yeah, an animal doesn't have a mind, so therefore there's no paradox. They're just living within it. But to even be able to differentiate nature from society is a paradox. Because an animal doesn't see a difference. Because he doesn't know anything. He's ignorant. And he ignores things naturally. Now we ignore things unnaturally as a paradox, so we can overcome our own paradoxes. No, we're trying to overcome our own paradox with a paradox, which is the mind. If you try to actually grow as a self-help person, or as a successful person, or as a perceived what can be a happy person, you gotta go against your own paradox. Is what most people do, is they use the paradox of their mind to go against the paradox of their mind, which is a paradox in itself, but it's not the highest potential of paradox in this life, which is the paradox. Because when you're the highest paradox amongst the paradoxes, it's a paradox in itself. That everyone around you is saying they're the highest paradox, or feeling like they're the highest paradox, when you're living as the highest paradox, but you have no ego towards that. So when you have no ego towards having no paradox, you become what people are trying to be, but you don't feel that way. This is the paradox. This is the real paradox. This is the real essence of this life that we're here to experience as human beings. Namaste. Goodbye.